Welcome to another deep dive. This time we're going inside the mind of Nikola Tesla.
Oh, yeah.
Um, and how better to do that than with his own words
Right.
from his autobiography, My Inventions.
Exactly, yeah. His own perspective on his life and his inventions.
Yeah, so what do we think about Tesla's autobiography
Hmm.
as a source? Like, I feel like it's got to be kind of a gold mine, right, to understand.
It's a great source. It gives us a direct window into how he thought, how he worked.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating because it's not just a dry left of inventions or like a scientific paper.
Right.
He
Yeah.
talks about his childhood, his
Mhm.
struggles, his inspirations, his really unique perspective on the world.
Yeah, so it's almost like we get to kind of like peek behind the curtain
Yes,
and
exactly.
see what made him tick and what drove him.
Yeah, and I think that's our mission here today, right? To try to get a better understanding of the man
Yeah.
behind these incredible inventions.
Yeah, and how those early experiences kind of shaped his journey.
Exactly.
So should we start at the beginning?
Let's do it.
With his childhood.
Okay, so picture this young Tesla growing up in what was then the Austrian Empire, a really bright kid. And he's just captivated by the forces of nature.
Like, in what ways? Give me an example.
Well, he talks about this fascination he had with trying to harness power.
Okay.
Like, even as a kid, he tried to build a motor
Boat.
powered by maybugs.
Wait, what? Motor powered by maybugs, like the insects?
Yeah, you know, the little beetles that fly around in the spring?
Okay.
He'd attach them to, like, these little wheels and try to make them spin.
Did it work?
I mean, probably not very well.
Right.
But it shows you the way his mind was working even back then.
Right, so just constantly tinkering and experimenting?
Yeah, always trying to figure out how to make things move, how to harness energy.
So it wasn't just about the maybugs. It was this bigger idea
Right.
of energy and power.
Yeah, and this fascination with energy continues throughout his life.
So we can kind of see that seed planted early on.
Absolutely. And speaking of energy, he also talks about being mesmerized by Niagara Falls.
Oh, wow.
But not just for its beauty.
Right.
He saw this incredible source of power, and he wanted to harness it.
And he did eventually, right?
Well, yeah, but this was years before anyone even thought it was possible.
Right.
He was already envisioning these grand engineering projects as a kid.
So already thinking on this massive scale.
Yeah, a true visionary, even back then.
But I mean, his childhood wasn't all maybugs and waterfalls, right?
Oh, definitely not.
He had some struggles too.
Yeah, he actually lost his brother when he was quite young.
Right.
And that deeply affected him.
Mm.
And his parents, they wanted him to follow a more traditional path. You know, something safe and respectable.
Oh, so what were they pushing him towards?
They wanted him to become a priest.
A priest.
Yeah, can you imagine Tesla in a church?
That's a hard picture to imagine.
Right, but Tesla knew from a very early age that that was not his calling. He had this burning desire to create, to invent, to explore the world of science and technology.
Right. And he already had this kind of like instinct for it.
Absolutely.
So was he a good student? Like, did he excel in school?
Well, he was certainly bright, but he had his own way of learning.
Okay.
He describes these incredible, almost like sensory experiences. He'd have flashes of light, vivid mental images, things like that.
That's pretty interesting.
Huh?
Was he like a visual learner, do we think?
I think it was more than just that.
Okay.
He claimed that he could build and test his inventions entirely in his mind.
Wait, are you serious?
Totally. He said he could run simulations in his head
Wow.
to see if something would work before he ever built it in the real world.
That's incredible.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
And this ability to visualize, to play with these complex systems in his imagination, it seems like it was really key to his inventive process.
So do we have any examples of this, like from his childhood?
Well, he talks about this incident during a fire department trial where a suction hose collapsed and nobody could figure out why.
Right.
But Tesla, just by looking at it,
Ah.
he could picture the problem in his mind,
Wow.
and he immediately knew how to fix it.
So it wasn't just him just like tinkering around.
No.
He had this deeper understanding of mechanics.
Yeah, he was able to apply this mental modeling to real-world situations.
And that seems like a pretty good place to stop for now.
Yeah, we'll pick up with more of Tesla's incredible journey in part 2 of our deep dive.
All right, see you then.
See ya.
Okay, so last time we were talking about Tesla's childhood.
Right, all those early experiences.
Yeah, and some of the challenges he faced. But he seemed to have come through it all with this even stronger drive to understand the world.
Yeah, he was definitely a resilient guy.
And his autobiography goes into some pretty intense periods of his life, right?
Oh, yeah, he talks about these times of illness, almost like breakdowns, where he was incredibly sensitive to light and sound. You know, he was really struggling, But it's almost like these difficult experiences pushed him even further to find answers.
Like he had to figure out how to control the forces that were affecting him.
Yeah, I think there's something to that. And get this, it's during one of these periods of recovery when he's reciting Goethe's Faust.
Faust.
Yeah, the play, that he
Right.
has this incredible breakthrough.
Okay, so what happens?
He describes the idea for the rotating magnetic field just hitting him like a flash of lightning.
Okay, hold on, stop right there. The rotating magnetic field, this is huge, right?
Absolutely.
This is like the basis for AC motors, the technology that powers our entire world.
Right, one of his most significant inventions.
So can we break this down a bit for people who might not be electrical engineers?
Sure, so imagine a magnetic field, but instead of it being static, it's spinning.
Okay.
And Tesla realized that if you could create this rotating magnetic field, you could induce a current in a nearby coil of wire.
And then that makes the motor spin.
Exactly, and the beauty of it is there's no physical contact.
So no more like gears and belts and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. It's all electromagnetic force, much more efficient, much more reliable.
Wow, so that's a huge leap forward from the old DC motors.
Oh, yeah. Those DC motors, they relied on brushes and commutators to make them spin, and those parts wore out. They were inefficient.
Right.
Tesla's AC motor was a game changer.
So he has this flash of brilliance, but I imagine it still took a lot of work to turn that into a working motor.
Oh, absolutely. He spent years refining the design, experimenting, troubleshooting.
So it wasn't just about the eureka moment, it was the persistence, too.
Definitely. And he faced skepticism from other inventors and engineers.
Right. They probably thought he was crazy.
Yeah, but he knew he was onto something.
So how did he finally prove them wrong?
Well, he eventually built a working prototype and demonstrated it in Strasbourg.
And that was it? Game over?
Pretty much, the AC motor quickly became the standard, and it revolutionized the way we use electricity.
That's incredible. But it sounds like Tesla wasn't content to just stop there.
Oh, no, he was just getting started.
What else did he have up his sleeve?
Well, he became obsessed with this idea of wireless power transmission.
Wireless power. Now, that sounds like something straight out of science fiction.
I know, right? But Tesla was convinced it was possible.
So what was his vision?
He believed he could transmit power wirelessly across vast distances, like beaming it through the air.
And this is where the Wardenclyffe Tower comes in, right?
Exactly. He built this massive tower on Long Island.
I've seen pictures of it. It's pretty amazing looking.
It was this giant structure with a huge dome on top.
So was it just about power transmission?
Well, that was part of it, but he also saw it as a global communication hub.
Okay.
He envisioned transmitting messages, images, music instantly across continents.
So basically he was thinking about the internet over 100 years ago.
That's a great way to put it. He was way ahead of his time.
But sadly, the Wardenclyffe project never really took off, did it?
Yeah, it faced a lot of financial challenges, investors pulled out, and eventually it had to be abandoned.
That's a shame. And I know there's a lot of conspiracy theories about the government shutting it down.
Right, some people believe they were threatened by Tesla's ideas.
But that's not really true, is it?
Well, Tesla himself addresses this in his autobiography. He says the tower was dismantled for scrap metal, but not because of any government intervention.
Okay, so it was more of a financial failure than anything else.
Yeah, sadly, but it's still fascinating to think about what might have been.
Right. Imagine a world powered wirelessly where information could travel instantly around the globe.
Tesla believed this technology could unite humanity, foster peace and understanding.
That's a pretty powerful vision.
It is, but even if Wardenclyffe had succeeded, I think it's important to acknowledge that any technology that powerful could also be misused.
Right. There's always that potential for good or evil.
Exactly. And this leads us to another fascinating aspect of Tesla's thinking, telautomatics.
Telautomatics. Okay, now you've piqued my curiosity. What's that all about?
Well, essentially, it's what we now call remote control. Tesla was fascinated by the idea of controlling machines wirelessly without any physical connection.
So he was like a pioneer in robotics.
In a way, yeah. He actually built and demonstrated remote-controlled boats.
Really?
Yeah, and he even talked about their potential use in warfare.
So he was basically predicting drone warfare over 100 years ago.
Yeah, pretty amazing, right?
It is. And did he go beyond just remote control?
Oh, yeah. He envisioned even more complex applications of telautomatics.
Like what?
Well, he talked about machines that could act with a degree of autonomy, responding to complex commands, adapting to changing environments.
So he was thinking about artificial intelligence back in the early 1900s.
It seems like he was grappling with the idea of machines that could exhibit intelligent behavior.
That's mind-blowing.
And remember how he described humans as automata?
Right.
complex machines responding to external stimuli.
Yeah. So what does that say about free will?
Well, that's a question that philosophers have debated for centuries, and Tesla, being a deep thinker, he wrestled with these ideas too.
And did he come to any conclusions?
He seemed to believe that while we're influenced by external forces, we also possess an inner spark, a creative force that allows us to shape our destinies.
Okay, so there's this tension between being an automaton and having this inner spark.
Exactly, and this inner spark, it might be connected to another one of his more esoteric ideas, cosmic pain.
Yeah, that's what we're going to explore in the next part of our deep dive, right?
Exactly. It's a pretty wild concept, but I think it might shed some light on Tesla's understanding of interconnectedness and the nature of that inner spark.
Okay. I'm definitely intrigued. We'll have to save that conversation for part 3. Okay, so we're finally tackling this cosmic pain idea.
Yeah.
It's been kind of looming over our conversation,
Right.
and I'm still not sure what to make of it.
Yeah, it's definitely one of Tesla's more out there ideas.
So let's start with the basics. What exactly did he mean by cosmic pain?
Well, he described it as this very specific kind of pain, almost like a piercing sensation that he felt at different times in his life.
Okay, and what triggered this pain?
That's the interesting part. It wasn't always something that happened directly to him.
So not like physical pain from an injury or
Right.
emotional pain from a loss.
He seemed to experience it when he witnessed injustice, like when someone he cared about was treated unfairly,
Mm.
or when a cause he was devoted to was attacked.
So he was like super empathetic.
Yeah, but amplified to an almost unbearable degree.
So it's like he was tapping into this negative energy in the world.
Yeah, almost like he was sensitive to these imbalances in the cosmic order.
Okay, this is where I start to get a little lost. How does this cosmic pain fit into his overall worldview?
Well, remember how he described humans as automata?
Right, like complex machines?
Yeah, he seemed to believe that when our mechanism is working properly, we're able to navigate the world without causing harm.
Okay, so we're all robots, but well-oiled robots.
Right, but when our controlling organs, our decision-making faculties are faulty, we disrupt the natural order of things.
And that's where the cosmic pain comes in.
It's like a feedback mechanism, a way for the system to try to restore balance.
So the universe is constantly trying to right itself.
Yeah, and Tesla believed that by understanding these subtle forces at play, we could learn to make more harmonious choices.
That's a pretty radical idea, but also kind of hopeful in a way.
Definitely, it encourages us to think beyond our individual selves and consider the impact of our actions on the world around us.
So after diving into Tesla's life, his inventions, his visions for the future, and even his more mystical ideas,
Right.
what's the big takeaway here?
Well, I think it's clear that Tesla was a true visionary, a genius who was way ahead of his time.
Yeah, he never stopped pushing the boundaries of what was possible.
And even though many of his ideas seemed crazy at the time, he was often proven right in the end.
And I think his story reminds us that we all have the potential to make a difference,
Right.
to contribute something meaningful to the world.
Even if our ideas seem strange or impossible to others.
So keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep pushing the boundaries. That's the Tesla spirit.
Absolutely.
Well, this has been an incredible journey exploring the mind of Nikola Tesla. We encourage you to check out his autobiography, My Inventions, for yourself and see what insights you uncover.
Yeah, it's a fascinating read.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and we'll see you next time.
See you later.